Meetings podcast that provides you with a shortcut to the top of the events world by asking successful people what made the difference in their careers and lives. I'm JT Long, Vice President and Content Director of Smart Meetings, and this conversation could be the start of a whole new chapter in your life. I know today's guest is always a page turner for me, Deborah Gardner, or Deborah G, as she's known on stages around the world, is a swimming champion, one of the first female sports broadcasters, and a performance expert. She helps people advance to new levels of success by generating and accelerating their professional life with a new competitive mentality. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you. And I've been called many other things before too. So I'm always up for new nicknames and all that good stuff. But hey, our hospitality peeps, we're all trying to stay up with each other, and we like to kid around and have some fun. So I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Well, and we just so enjoyed having you on the stage at our Arizona event. That was our wellness event. And I will tell you, everyone came away with new insights, new perspective. That's what you bring. You bring great perspective.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, after being in the hospitality industry for years, I do see a lot of different perspectives, and I'm all about, our industry, when we zig, other industries zag. So we have to try to stay ahead of the curve, try new things, be innovative. And my whole new saying, and I know you'll love this, is all is calm, all is bright.
And you started when you were 5, which is how you got all those years in. Well, I want to dig a little deeper into what you said about the meetings industry. So most of us know you as an Olympic athlete, a professional television personality, an energetic speaker, but you actually have deep roots in hospitality. How did that happen, and what keeps bringing you back to this industry?
Well, this is kind of an interesting story. Do you remember the movie The Wedding Crasher? Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, actually, I am the real wedding crasher, which makes me feel like I started the hospitality industry way before I, did the whole professional swimming and broadcasting world. Because in college, as a student athlete, of course, we're always hungry. We don't have money on us. We can't work while we're training. So I just remember riding my bike to and from practice, to and from school, and I would ride by the local churches. And when I would see a wedding or an event going on, I kind of would just step in as if I'm one of them. And what better way to get free food? So I actually started becoming a wedding crasher. And while I was there and reflecting back, it was interesting to actually see how the event was, performed, and how the behind the scenes, because I got to sit back and try to not to be noticed, because, one family would say I'm with them and the other family would say I'm with them. So I started picking up on how the weddings were, performed and operated from a logistics point of view. So I've been in the hospitality industry a long time because of that.
Wow, that's a lot of canapes, I'll tell you.
Well, and what keeps me coming back really are 3 things. One is the opportunities. The opportunities in this industry is enormous. I mean, you can, go through so many different ways of serving our customers, whether it's being a DJ, audiovisual, hotel, meeting planner, event planner. I mean, there's so many different ways. So the opportunities are always there. As big as our industry is, it is small. So you can build those relationships. And we are one of the largest industries in the world, actually right behind the government. We're larger than pharma and the auto industry. So there's always these opportunities. And number 2, I always like the challenges. Every single day, we are faced with challenges. And I like to take that as a personal challenge. And that's part of growth. That's part of learning and part of not being afraid of doing something new and different. And then the third reason I keep coming back, most of all, is the people. I mean, the people are just so optimistic, so loving. As a matter of fact, my husband always says, you're such a huggy, kissy industry. And it's true, because we're like family. And that's what keeps me coming back, which helped me at this point of my stage of being in the industry, is to give back. And I know Smart Meetings does a lot of that. And I think that's why I connect with you all so much, because my podcast, Hospitality Today Live, the special editions are all about the industry. And so you get to that point where you want to give back because because of those three things.
Absolutely. And it really does take a village to put on an event, right? Every skill set is needed. We have to be able to welcome everyone and all of the different ways that they can contribute to making a successful outcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's all about creating a win-win situation, too. We're not here to throw flame torches at each other or have pillow fights, but unless it's in a fun way, but we're all about building relationships. And what lies beyond relationships are those endless possibilities, of doing things together. And I think that's where the power of collaboration really stands out in our industry. It's important for us to come together, especially when those challenges come about, to work together. And I believe that, teaming up and really seeing what kind of experiences we can create. And we're all about creativity. And I just see that, help, when you need help, you can ask for it in this industry. Help is wealth. Help is really just all about wealth. The more you ask for help, the more you're going to become more knowledgeable about handling things. So there's no reason to be doing things on your own, or as I always say, swim alone. You don't need to swim alone. You can do things together. And it's all about creating that win-win situation. And our industry is really good about that. And I hope anybody that's listening to this now is thinking, okay, what do I need? Who can I reach out to help? Because it is a norm in our industry.
Absolutely. And we call it partnerships often. There are competitions, right? We're competing for too few ballroom spaces. We're competing to make sure that we get what we need to make the budget work. And then the hotel needs to make sure that they get what they need. And I'm seeing some new opportunities for collaboration come up where if two different groups are in-house at the same time, maybe they coordinate their menus so the hotel can streamline that and everyone reduces costs. Same with the AV setup. What are some questions you think planners should be asking as they're sourcing and planning that might help them to create those win-wins you talked about?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think that they all definitely need to have that checklist of questions, first of all, and that's where you're going to get the basics of what you need to cover from logistics to partnership. But I also think, you hit it right on the nail right there. It's like, what groups or what's happening at the hotel before my event? What's happening afterward? So that you can find out, hey, you know what? I know about that group. Maybe I need to contact that meeting event professional and collaborate with them and utilize the same linen cloths or the same centerpieces or the same audiovisual team. And that hasn't really happened much in the past, but I agree with you. I see that happening more and more. I also think that we still need to focus on sustainability and safety. I think safety is a huge area that we still need to feel responsible for our attendees and our participants, that they need to feel safe. We, just went through that pandemic, and that's not going to say that there's not going to be another one come about, or terrorist attacks, or somebody even just, choking on a piece of bacon during breakfast. I mean, everyone needs to feel safe and know what to be prepared to do at the same time. So when you're, asking questions, it could even involve the hotel. Okay, hotel, if somebody is, choking on a piece of bacon, what do you do? What happens in these kind of situations? Who do we need to call? Is there a hospital nearby? Is everybody CPR certified? Those type of things. Same with sustainability and many other things that should be on people's lists.
Yeah, safe emotionally, physically. Yeah, all of that goes on to the checklist, right?
Yes. Absolutely. And having a checklist and comparing your checklist with other meeting and event professionals, because if we're all on the same page, everything's going to run a lot more smoother. And everyone has the same need. It's just a matter of putting it out on the table and everyone tackling each and every one of those to make sure everything, as you said, is streamlined.
We love seeing that even at our events. People come so that the planners and suppliers can talk, but planners talking to planners is just as powerful, right? They know, they have empathy, and they can share all kinds of great resources.
Oh, yes, because they have the firsthand experience. There's nothing anyone can experience more than what they experience firsthand. And they've seen it all, they've done it all. So it's really, really important. I still remember one of the programs that I delivered way back in the day. And usually I'd like to hang out, as you know, with the attendees before and after programs. But this one in particular, I actually had to leave to get to another speaking engagement. But I did my due diligence by following up the next week. And I asked, my client, I said, how'd everything go? And she said, Deborah, everything was great until that evening. I'm like, oh, what happened that evening? How was something, wrong, or did something, happen that I didn't know about? She said, oh, yes. She said, well, actually that evening we turned our dinner theme into a circus theme. And I thought, oh my gosh, I wish I was able to hang out because I've never seen an actual circus theme. She goes, oh, Deborah, it was so wonderful. We had, acrobat talent on the stage. We had the tablecloths were all different circus colors. The centerpiece was cotton candy. We had a popcorn machine in one corner. We had an elephant in the other corner for photo apps. I mean, we had circus music, the stakeholders, all the sponsors were there. Everybody was having a good time. And I'm like, okay, then what happened? She said, well, what happened was when it was time to serve the dessert, the waitstaff with their big brown trays came out to clear up the dishes. And one wait staff that actually has been at the resort for years went ahead and stepped from the ballroom carpet to the back of the house tile with his big tray of dishes and glassware and misstepped, fell on the ground, and everything went crashing to the floor, which made a huge booming sound, so much that it actually scared the elephant in the other corner. And what happened, it was a baby elephant. So the baby elephant reared up onto its hind legs and just gave out the most biggest scream through his long trunk and actually fell over and died. Yes, this is one of my all-time signature stories. And so it's like, oh my God, what did you do? And they all froze. They didn't know what to do. And so fast forward 8 months later, I was talking to her again. I said, whatever happened with the elephant situation? And she said, well, Deborah, we all ended up in court, the hotel, the circus company, the vendors, everybody. But she said something very remarkable. She said, Deborah, although this happened, we all collaborated. We all worked together because everybody really felt for this whole situation. What you don't know, you don't know. You don't think about an elephant dying during your program. And she said, but I do remember when I've attended events in our industry to work on my knowledge and to learn, I remember this formula. It's called E plus I plus O. Events, industry equals outcomes. So always know that there's an outcome. There's a result to it. It's just a matter of how you're going to get there. Things might happen at the event, but as an industry, come together, help each other, and know that challenges are going to be there. Resistance is always going to be there, but the outcome can be positive, again, if you work together. So I'll never forget that experience.
Wow, that is a wild story. Yeah. And we definitely saw the industry come together over COVID, and live animals are always challenging. I had my own experience when we tried to have a live lion on stage at a company I was with, and you have to just drug it so much, and the insurance, and we're like, we'll never again. We had a fake soundtrack roar, and it was just laying there.
Yeah. Well, and I teach a lot of speakers, and especially with National Speakers Association and speaking at their conferences about safety and being at events and how they can contribute. And I always say, hey, if you're going to have fire on stage, you better let your client know.
Wise words. Yes.
And what's your backup plan? What's the solution? What are you going to do to make them feel comfortable that, you didn't decide to set the stage on fire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you talk about, coordinating with other groups, our founder, Marin Bright, was very pioneering in finding live plants she could move to the stage. When we were in St. Thomas this last year, there was a wedding right before us, and they didn't need the flowers anymore. So they ended up in our room. And so I think that, it's both sustainable and it's beautiful. So it works out well. So one of the things that you talked about when we were in Arizona, and I wanted to follow up on, is the importance of leading with your heart. And why is that important for planning experiences?
I'm glad you brought that up, because as an athlete, one of our strongest words that we use is that, we're champions, and everyone has a champion in them. But being a champion is not made of muscle. Being a champion is made of heart. Bottom line, it all comes from your heart. I'm actually going to be delivering to the National Concierge Association coming up in another couple months. And one of the program that I'm doing is called The Heart of Hospitality at Work. So we're going to even talk even more about our heart, because when you come from an authentic standpoint of view, empathy and trust and passion, it really shows. It really does. And our industry is all about heart. And I think it's really important for us to embrace that, because we're always on a roller coaster ride in this industry. And sometimes it feels like, a slow crawl or a Monday morning, and we don't want that. We want everything to go smoothly and perfectly for our clients and attendees, and even for ourselves, because it is a reflection of ourselves. So I believe that, we really need to slow down to speed up. When we are challenged or when resistance comes in our way, we really need to sometimes just stop, just completely, just stop. Even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, slow down to speed up is my motto. And just put your hand on your heart. When you are challenged with something, just put your hand on your heart and just feel it. Feel the beat. Just hold it there. Yeah, close your eyes, just like you're doing right now, JT. Awesome. And just feel what's going on with you and start there, instead of trying to, hustle yourself through something that really is going to be challenging the entire time. I mean, nobody wants to face pain or grind. So just slow down to speed up, put your hand on your heart, and just feel from where you are. And that's, I believe, is what's going to get you through some challenging times.
And that sense of calm and confidence can show in the end product, right? The output, as you said. I feel that way as a journalist. It shows in your writing, and I think it shows on stage, and it shows in the program.
It does. And I believe our audiences have a voice, and they want a voice. And that's why it's very important for me to have them interact with each other and express themselves from their own heart, because we're all about firsthand experience. It's really, we can sit there and listen to a presenter on stage all day long, but until you put them in the moment and allowing them to experiment something, they'll go outside that ballroom or out, away from that conference with some really heavy duty golden nuggets.
And I think that was one of the wonderful things about having you on stage, is that you are so interactive and you really help people to come to those discoveries on their own and just guide them through it instead of telling them.
Yes. And the most fun for me is I like to shock them. They don't know where they're going with something. Like my paper exercise, I'm like, okay, what are we doing with this paper? They have no idea. And that's the key, is keeping them on their toes and letting them kind of discover what their own outcome is. And as you know, with that piece of paper, they have all kinds of different outcomes. And they're proud of that. It's not about me telling them what their outcome should be. There's just so many brilliant minds in the room that have so much talent, skills, expertise, experience, and so much more, that we can move forward faster if we just apply all of everybody's brilliancy at once. And that's fun for me.
And when you bring them on that journey together, they are present, they are focused, I did not see anyone looking at their phones, right? We were all in there together. That's powerful.
Right. Unless I have them get their phones out, and then that's another fun exercise.
So we've talked a little bit about where we've come from and what we've overcome. And right now we're in an industry that's a little bit lean and refocused. And with the advent of AI, what is your vision for the future of this industry? If you and I are back here, say in 30 years, talking about this, because we met your mother, we know you have great genes. What are we going to be talking about even in 1 year?
I think my genes are tighter than my mother's. But anyway, no, great question, because we're going through a revolution. And our industry was very resistant. When you brought up AI, we were very resistant of technology, period, until the pandemic. Then we had no choice. We were completely forced into that era. And now we're starting to embrace AI. And everybody, whether they're on which side of the fence regarding AI, it's a revolution that's still coming. And we need to learn how to actually embrace that. I call this the age of Aquarius, because I love that song. It's like we're really upgrading ourselves to a whole new level with the industry. But yet I'm so happy to see that our educational level has opened up to the health and wellness world too. Because think about this. AI is actually all about tech. It's going to do a lot of things manually that we usually do. However, we know it's not going to be able to, take away our emotions or our human element side of us. And so with health and wellness education, I think that is our future. I think we're going to actually be more involved with being more passionate about things that we want to do, emotional about things. And, I have this little rock on my desk. It's called Plant a Seed of Kindness. And I always have it on my desk to kind of remind me, hey, you know what? Kindness is where we're at. And I think that's going to happen more, because our world is so full of heartache and negativity that I think just planting a seed of kindness you can change somebody's day. You can change somebody's year. And so for us to be more educated in the health and wellness area will allow us to feel better about ourselves so that we can give to a whole new level that AI cannot.
Absolutely. I will tell you, hugging a bot is not very satisfactory in an industry that likes to hug. It's not the same.
That is so true.
I talk a lot to Michael Massari from Caesars, and we just did a story about the history of the convention center. And, the human urge to come together face to face is as old as humans are. And that's not going to change in a year or 30 years.
No, it's not, because we have a lot to share with each other. And I believe that's where stories are going to start being part of our conversation, and hearing other people's stories. Because again, we have so many different talents, expertise, skills, and level of things, the way our thought processes are. And so I really see that being upgraded, that elevating without fear too, because we're not here to compete when it comes to this kind of conversation. We're here to share. And so you're right, JT. I think that the face-to-face will never, ever go away, nor should it be a conversation piece, because this is what we need. We need to see each other. We need, and that was proven. That was absolutely proven these past couple of years. So I'm glad to see that that part won't be replaced at all.
Absolutely. Well, Deborah, we brought you here on a show called What One Thing because we want to know what is the secret sauce that changed your life and our community can learn from and apply to their lives.
That is I love the title of this podcast and have always wanted to be on here because of that one question. But that one thing I know for me is very easy to share. And that is be ambitious. Be ambitious, whatever that might mean to you. Ambitiously, setting goals for yourself, doing things that you want to do, because it all starts with you, not what you do in your job, not what you do with your family, your friends. It all starts with you. And when you realize what you're dealing with, what resistance you're up against, then you have to learn how to tackle that. And to do that, you have to be ambitious. And you're not alone in this area either, but never, ever treat yourself as an afterthought. Never. Because this one short life that we have, and Marin Bright proved that, that was a sign for our wonderful friend. And it certainly was for me. So, eat delicious food, walk in the sunshine, jump in the water, be silly, be kind, be weird. I mean, embrace new challenges and really know that your attitude is part of that as well. So strive for improvement for yourself. Bottom line, for yourself, and stop scrolling and rushing and pleasing others. You have to please yourself. And when you are ambitious for yourself, you will see a huge difference in anything and everything that you do. And I just think that, whether you're organizing a conference or herding the cats, I call that the attendees, let your ambition, be the wind beneath your wings. Let it carry you to where you want to go. And you can take all the feedback and get all the help that you want, but ultimately you're the one that makes the decision. And you have that power. You have that control. So take advantage of it.
Very wise words, Deborah. Thank you so much for joining us on What One Thing. I so look forward to seeing you on an event stage somewhere very soon. And thank you for being part of this community.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'll leave this with this one quote from my mother, and you have heard it at the conference before. You're never too young or too old to hustle. So take advantage of anything and everything that you want to accomplish. If you want to be a general manager of a hotel, if you want to own a company, go for it. What do you have to lose? So thank you so much for having me on this show. Finally, I'm so excited to give back to the community. And yes, I hope to see everyone else out there living it up.
Love it. Thank you. Smart Meetings, What One Thing was produced by Bright Business Media. Visit smartmeetings.com to subscribe to your daily dose of inspiration.